Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks. And today I am going to round out the week of professional wrestling. Now, bit of a note, will not be covering SmackDown or Rampage as I was out last night. Yes, I am sorry, but I do want to have a little fun every now and again. So instead, here's what I'm going to bring you. I'm going to bring you Impact. I'm going to bring you Ring of Honor. And I am going to tell you who went in the draft at SmackDown. Because it's the least I can do. So, first things first, grab yourself a snack. Maybe something to drink. And let's do this. So, first things first, we're going to cover Impact Wrestling. Which overall was a very fun show. For at least 2 weeks out from Rebellion, which was a very fun pay-per-view. Then overall, the good feelings continue for Impact. And we start off with Masha Slamovich versus Jordynne Grace. These two have definitely wrestled each other before. And this one was no different. This was a very, very fun opener. A lot of counters to the both the Grace Driver and the Muscle Buster. But overall, your winner, Jordynne Grace, via the Muscle Buster. Honestly, I could watch these two go at it every day of the week and not get bored. So, it was definitely a fun one and a recommended must-watch. Now, next up, we have a Nick Aldis highlight, highlighting his career back from when he was Brutus Magnus, when he started in TNA, and oh boy, do I feel old watching that. That was like 2009, 2010. That's crazy to see how he's grown from that to the British Invasion, to the two-time Impact World Champion, to two-time NWA champion, and now he's come round again, and honestly, it's going to be interesting to see him go. Then we get an in-ring Steve Maclin promo, pretty much says, oh, PCO last week caught me off guard, I had to enact a tactical retreat, and that's what I did. But today, I'm ready for you. He calls out PCO. PCO comes out. He's about halfway down the ramp. Down comes Champagne Singh and Shera for a beatdown. This then brings out Santino Marella, who it looks like Singh's about to pay him off. Santino says, oh, thanks. Oh, by the way, you're in a match with PCO right now. Which, honestly, Santino's comedic timing is just so... It's so good. And that match was surprisingly even. Like, honestly, I thought this would be like a 2-minute squash match. It was given time. It gave Champagne Singh time to really tell his story. But ultimately, after a PCO assault, which I still can't believe PCO does shit like this. Your winner, PCO. Like, it was definitely a fun matchup. A bit unexpected, but hopefully they do something fun with Champagne Singh very, very soon. Alright, next up we have a design promo. And mostly from the mouth of Diener, their leader. He pretty much says, Sami Callihan, you tricked us, you're the death machine all along, but watch your back in the coming while. So, this feud is just getting started, and, we'll see where it goes. Then we get a vignette from the Coven, which they're backstage doing the whole tarot card thing. And they're going to bring Purrazzo Payne later on in the evening. This next thing, bit of comedy, but I also love it. You have Johnny Swinger, who has been gunning for a title shot in Impact for a while now. And he was promised if he can get 50 wins, he can get a title shot. Now, lately, he hasn't been able to win. So, last week we heard him pretty much say, oh, we'll pay for this new guy's rent, dorm, and, food and travel. So, Johnny Swinger hits the ring. He says, oh, I'm ready to go. Let's get this ham and egger in. Then we see Zicky Dice, who is Swinger's henchman / partner, pretty much say, oh, I'm going to go get him. There might be a little translation issue considering he's a luchador. And then he goes in the back, and out comes El Dinerico, a.k.a. Zicky Dice in a mask, and it was very obvious. Then after a drop to hold and a roll-up, your winner, Johnny Swinger. We then get to see backstage Swinger and El Dinerico, who is unmasked as Zicky Dice, celebrating this first win to 50. You then see Santino Marella walk up, pretty much say, do you think I'm going to let this go? Zicky, I knew it was you under the mask, considering I saw your face. So this match does not count. So, Swinger is now still winless in this stipulation, which is a little bit sad, but, it's a good attempt. We then get Kenny King backstage. He runs into Chris Decker, who he had a match with on BTI. Pretty much saying, yeah, thanks for letting me beat ya. Now get out of here. He then sits down next to Sheldon Jean, who the past week challenged Joe Hendry for his digital media title. And he pretty much says, Gene, be you. I'm going to mentor you for a bit. And we'll see where that goes. So, looks like Gene is going to be on the main show a little bit more, which I am very happy with. Gene really showed out against Mr. Hendry last week. So, let's see where that goes. And it also looks like we're going to be having Kenny King feud with Nick Aldis, which, not a bad first feud. We then get the tag team champions, the ABC, in a non-title contest against Khan and Angels of the Design. And honestly, these two teams brought it. They were hitting haymakers all over the place. Khan overpowering ABC at all turns. Then at one point you have ABC looking to dive. Diener gets in the way. The Design attack from behind. Then out comes Sami Callihan, right on cue, attacks Diener, which then leads into Art of Finesse, the Fold, and the 1, 2, sweet! As your winners, the ABC. In what was a really fun tag team match play. Now, backstage, we then get to see Santino Marella. It looks like he's been attacked again, in which the last time he was attacked by Sami Callihan under the control of the Design. So, we then get Dango come up, pretty much say, oh, what happened? Do you know who did this? Santino gives a brief description. Then Santino takes his badge, pretty much says, yeah, I'm the detective of authority. So it looks like we are getting a bit of the Fashion Police back, which would be a lot better with Breezy in here. But Gonna do what we're gonna do. It's gonna be fine. Next up, we got backstage the Death Dolls, that being Rosemary and Jessica. They're talking about where Ty has been, and how to get back into the undead realm to save her. Then we get Crazy Steve come in. Looks like a brief Decay reunion. Jessica pretty much says, "Oh, who's this guy? I've never seen him before. We're dressed alike. We could be best friends." Then Crazy Steve and Rosemary just put their hands up, and Jessica stops talking. Then Steve pretty much says, "Oh, you've tried everything you could to get to the undead realm, but you know who you got to meet with." Rosemary then rolls her eyes and pretty much says, "Yeah, you're right. I gotta go see James Mitchell." In which, James Mitchell in Impact, match made in heaven. Cannot wait to see what he sees. Maybe we'll see his guys from the NWA involved in this. Fingers crossed. I think that would be fun. Next up, we have Jody Threat taking down Shazza Sparks. In a pretty one-sided affair. After a F416, your winner Jody Threat. Post-match, we get a Killer Kentley vignette. She calls out Masha Slamovich, in which, yes please, I'll take 2. That should be a fun one. And finally, we get our main event of Impact. It's for the Knockouts Championship as Taylor Wilde challenges Deonna Purrazzo. And honestly, for a first-time bout, they worked really, really well together. Lots of good near falls. At certain points, Kylan King tries to get involved, but that doesn't really lead to much anything. Then we get an armbar directly into a Venus de Milo for the submission victory for Deonna Purrazzo. Honestly, great match. You all should check it out. Post-match, Kylan King attacks Purrazzo from behind. Taylor Wilde joins in, making the save Jordan Grace, who still has a Knockouts title shot coming in the future. So, we'll see where that team goes. Do they win the tag titles? Who knows? So that is it for Impact Wrestling. Next up, we got Ring of Honor, which honestly is consistently one of the better shows of the week. Although, maybe a little bit too much wrestling. Like, don't get me wrong, I love wrestling. It's why I watch. But I think Ring of Honor needs to take a breath here and there. And we start out with a surprisingly fun match. Not a surprisingly fun match. I know these two are really good and they worked really well together. You have Athena taking on Lady Frost. Athena has pretty much put it out there that she wants to wrestle every week and have the challengers prove that they deserve a title shot. And honestly, this was definitely a fun one. Athena going for more power, Lady Frost going for more speed and finesse. But ultimately, after a moonsault and then just a big old elbow strike, your winner, Athena. Then we continue the post-match attack, and Athena slams Lady Frost's head into the title. So, yeah, we'll see where that goes. Next up, we got a Kingdom promo, pretty much saying, oh, we built this division, we built Ring of Honor, and yet we get no respect. Well, in the coming weeks, we're going to take that respect and turn it into victories, especially against Top Flight and Action Andretti. So, it's definitely more of the interesting feuds on Ring of Honor. It's going to be fun. We then get the infantry taking on LFI, but this time it's not Dralistico and Roosh, it's Roosh and Preston Vance. In which, honestly, it was fine. Infantry kind of didn't get out of gear too, so I think the infantry could be used a little bit better, considering I think they're really good. But overall, after Preston Vance pretty much dominates, then with the Bullhorns, your winner, LFI. I'm going to cover that. In a bit of a surprising twist, you got Brian Cage taking on Leon Ruffin. At first, it is dominated by Brian Cage, but then Ruffin does come back a little bit, but then after a powerbomb backbreaker combo into a Texas Cloverleaf, your winner by submission, Brian Cage. I'm glad Brian Cage is whipping out stuff like this. Like, I'm good. He's obviously a really good power guy, but now he's showing how good of a wrestler he can be, like technical wise. Next up, you have the Dark Order, Stu Grayson and Evil Uno, taking on Jeeves Gay and Sonny Kiss of the Trustbusters. Although, without Daivari, is the Trustbusters even a thing? I don't know. This was a really, really good match. Oh, and before the match got started, you have Vincent and his other boy in the Righteous come out, put a metal seat down, and sit and watch the match. This match was absolutely great. A lot of crisp wrestling, a lot of good tag team stuff. And then after a powerbomb and then a huge stomp move, your winner, the Dark Order. Then as the Dark Order is leaving, they go face to face with the Righteous. So that feud is actually kind of interesting too. Like, I like Vincent and the Righteous. We then get a pretty interesting Christopher Daniels interview. Been going for 30 years, but now he has seen the mountaintop, but he's also been rock bottom, in which that's where he is right now. But he knows that nothing will be handed to me, but I am not starting from the very bottom again. So instead, I'm going to challenge Samoa Joe for the TV title next week. That should be a fun one. Couple of Ring of Honor OGs. And honestly, with their time in TNA, like, their TNA matches were great. Like, here's what I'll say. I never really got into that Ring of Honor because Sinclair, I don't have Sinclair. And that was before, internet. So yeah, I saw their rivalry with TNA on Spike, and I loved it. They were some of the best rivalries in TNA for me. Excuse me. Next up, we got Diamante taking on Sky Blue in what was a very technical, yet kind of quick little match. And after a big roll-up, your winner, Sky Blue. And who does come on stage post-match? Oh yeah, it's Athena. So, maybe we see our next rivalry. I'd be down with that. Next up, we got a very interesting match. Bit of an interpromotional thing. You got New Japan Pro Wrestling's Rocky Romero taking on Lee Moriarty. And honestly, this match was so dang good. I was a little annoyed that Big Bill got so involved without being caught, but ultimately, that played into the story, which we'll get to. And then after a flatliner, your winner, Lee Moriarty. Now, post-match, we get a little backstage promo by Rocky Romero. Rocky pretty much says, yeah, you needed help from your big giant. So next week, I got a challenge for you. Pure Rules match. Rocky Romero, Lee Moriarty, Pure Rules? Yes, please. And finally, your main event for Ring of Honor. You have Gringo Loco versus Blake Christian. And honestly, these two guys brought it all. I don't know what more I can say about it. I'm going to say go and seek it out for yourself. It is definitely an awesome watch. With your winner after a Spanish Fly and a 450 splash, Blake Christian. Alright, that'll do it for the Ring of Honor. Now I am just going to go over a little something I think we should take a look at. As we have the WWE Draft. Oh. Hold on. Alright. So the picks for SmackDown are in. And here are the rosters so far. First pick, pretty obvious one. You have Roman Reigns, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman, the Bloodline, at least part of it, going to SmackDown. First pick. Second pick, this one annoys me a little bit much, but it is what it is. It's Cody Rhodes going to Raw. Now, I've been told since Cody's WrestleMania loss, oh, that's only like Chapter 2, Page 1. But now, with Cody and Roman on separate brands, how are you going to continue this story? Like, it's annoying. And it just seems to me that Cody is now destined for the new World Heavyweight title, which is now on Raw. And it's just super annoying. Like, you had one job. Keep these two on the same brand, and then keep Cody in the conversation of the main event. That's it. And bring it to SummerSlam. But no, we gotta extend this further because Cody hasn't faced enough adversity. Like, dude, come on. Ugh. And now you're gonna make this new world title feel like lesser, and Cody feel like lesser, and it's annoying. It's annoying, and it proves to me that Cody should have won at WrestleMania. I'm gonna say that. Pick 3 to SmackDown again, and it's Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair. Hooray! We are probably getting an on-screen title swap like we saw last year with Becky Lynch and Charlotte. Hip hip hooray! Speaking of Becky Lynch, she's the next pick going to Monday Night Raw. Moving on to SmackDown, we have the Street Profits, who have been teasing, tag teams could be broken up. Apparently not. But, Street Profits is SmackDown. Maybe we get to see some newer matchups with them. Speaking of seeing newer matchups, the entire Imperium group, including Intercontinental Champion Gunther, are making the move to Raw. So, I think that's a nice little move. We'll see how that turns out. Moving back to SmackDown, one of the original SmackDown 6, Edge, moving back to SmackDown. That should be a fun one. Pick 8, Matt Riddle staying on Raw. Makes sense to me. This one is an interesting pick. We have Bobby Lashley going to SmackDown. So maybe we'll see him versus Roman Reigns in the near future. I'd be okay with that. Drew McIntyre going back to Raw, which we'll see what happens. His contract is ending October, so hopefully he'll be back soon. Next up, we have the entire OC. That's the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson, Mia Yim, and making at least an on-screen return, AJ Styles. Hopefully this means he's back from his injury, he's good to go, and maybe we'll see him versus Roman, because why not? Sticking around on Raw, we have The Miz, pick 12. Pick 13, Damage Control, moving over to SmackDown. And that includes Bianca Belair's Women's Championship Challenger for Backlash, Io Sky. Making his move to Raw, the recently returned Shinsuke Nakamura. That's right, Nakamura's back. He's going to Raw. Maybe do something with Rick Boogs. Hopefully. Pick 15. Going to SmackDown. Very interesting call-up. You have the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. So, it looks like we're getting a little bit of a tag division being built. And pick 16. Going to Raw. NXT Women's Champion, Indi Hartwell. So it looks like we might be having a little reunion on Raw with Gargano, Hartwell, Candice LeRae, and Dexter Lumis. So The Way, that's what their names were. That could be an interesting little get together, and we'll see what happens with the NXT Women's title. All right, that is the draft picks there. We now get some ancillary picks, some picks that weren't announced on the show, but they were announced for on Saturday. Now the following superstars being on Raw. We have the Viking Raiders, that's Eric Ivar and Valhalla, moving to Raw. Dexter Lumis and Candice LeRae staying on Raw. The Maximum Male Models, that's Mansoor, Marseille, and Maxime Dupri, being moved to Raw. Actually, they're staying. I think they moved to Raw recently. Natalia, moving to Raw. Apollo Crews, former, he's been on NXT for a bit. Now he's moving back up to the big time. Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville being moved to Raw. I guess they're sticking together as a tag team. Zoe Stark being moved up from NXT. JD McDonough, I forget what his previous name was, being moved up to Raw as well. So, that's part of the Raw roster. Only two kind of made for SmackDown. You got Lacey Evans and the entirety of Hit Row sticking to SmackDown, which, that's very interesting. And now sticking as free agents, which I think it was explained that if you're a free agent, you can pretty much go between brands until someone signs you. You got Omos and MVP, which, that's an interesting one. Dolph Ziggler, who I am very surprised no one picked him yet. Mustafa Ali and Von Wagner. So, they're currently free agents. Maybe they get picked on Monday. We'll see. Speaking of, draft concludes on Monday, and then post Backlash, the exclusive rosters will go into place. So, that should be an interesting site. And yeah, that's it from me. I hope you guys did enjoy. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about this week in wrestling. Let me know what your thoughts on the draft. The WWE draft. And yeah, let's see what happens next week. I'm pretty excited. I hope you guys are too. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.